stuff like that. If I share my screen, you'll see that we actually help set up esports tournaments around the whole country. And with my school this year, we actually got to go to regional qualifiers playing Super Smash Brothers Ultimate on the Nintendo Switch. We're also sponsored by people like PlayStation and Sega, because the gaming industry is the largest industry for media in the world. It's bigger than the music industry. It's bigger than the filming industry. It makes more money per year. And what we've recognized is that as something that young people love, we're trying to make sure that more people can gain access to those careers later in life, because those careers are really, really good careers to have. Enables you to do something that hopefully you love, and enables you to build yourself a career in something that is really gives you so many different options. Okay. Now, what I'd like to discuss as we go forwards is, on our first session, is how we can get an introduction to programming and how we can get an introduction to algorithms, and how we can do so completely unplugged without needing to be doing any coding today, and to just get the fundamentals of how algorithms work. Okay. So today's learning objectives is to understand why computers need algorithms. Okay, what are these things called algorithms that we learn about? What are they in simple terms, and how can we learn how to follow algorithms or write our own algorithms for others to follow? And our second learning objective today is to know why algorithms should be specific, precise, step by step. Okay, because all algorithms are written so that computers can carry out tasks that we don't want to do as human beings. Okay, and we'll see how our computers, how our PlayStations, how our Nintendo Switches follow sets of steps in order to give us the amazing computer games that we play today. Okay, so let's get started, guys, and let's get into the main meat of today's session. Why do computers need specific instructions? Well, fundamentally, guys, computers are dumb. They have no level of real intelligence. They aren't able to do anything that's of any real particular, when we talk about artificial intelligence, that isn't something that computers really have. Artificial intelligence is something that we talk about when we're talking about a computer that's trying to pretend to be intelligent. Except computers are not intelligent. Let's just stop that share for a sec. Computers are not intelligent. Computers can simply only do what they are instructed to do by the programmer. And it's our job to learn how to program, how to build algorithms, and therefore how to instruct our computers to do the things that we want them to do. Now, why does this matter to us? Okay, and what's the implication or significance of that fact for us? Well, if all computers are dumb and they have no real intelligence, it's only what we ask them to do as computer game designers and developers that create all of the things that we see and learn and play with. Okay. Now, when we ask computers to follow instructions and to run computer games, we need to be specific, we need to be precise, and we need to be step by step. Lots of you will have had experience so far at school of writing algorithms and writing programs at school, and it's on those skills that we're going to focus on and build and solidify in today's first session of our summer camp for computer game development. Okay. So, why do computers need specific instructions? It wouldn't hurt just to take a note of the kind of chart that I've drawn for everyone today. Okay. Like I mentioned earlier, computers are not intelligent. Okay. On the intelligence spectrum, human beings, I've put us at the top, have perhaps been a little bit arrogant by saying that all of you guys at home, including myself, no matter how silly or stupid we act, we are highly intelligent animals. We are capable of producing art, poetry, music, dance, song, computer science, rocket science, chemistry, biology, literature. All of these amazing things in this world have been generated by the human brain. Human beings are incredibly clever, even if sometimes we don't feel like we are or others are that we meet. However, there is a problem with the human being. And the main problem with the human being is that we are slow. Okay? Computers, on the other hand, are incredibly fast. They are incredibly good at calculating for us. Essentially, all a computer is an advanced adding machine. But what a computer enables a human being to do is to take that human being's intelligence and to speed it up. And that's all a computer's for, is to take a human being's intelligence and speed up that process. I'd like to do a quick example with you guys, and I'd like you to see how quick you are at following simple instructions compared to how fast a computer is. Now, on your screens, you should have 3 sums. I'd like you to add the numbers as fast as you can. Okay, we've got 24 plus 32. I'm going to do the same. We've got 43 plus 62. And we've got 83 plus 98. Hopefully, lots of you will have finished that. We've just done 3 sums, 3 simple additions, okay? Now, if I give us the answers, we can have a look. The first one, 24 plus 32 is 56. 43 plus 62, well, the way I did it, I did 40 plus 60, which is 100, and 3 and 2 is 5, 105. And then 83 plus 98, I actually did 83 plus 100, which is 183, take away 2, 181. Now that's impressive. I might be showing off on my ability to add numbers. I'm sure you guys at home that enjoy a bit of maths as well were able to show off your ability to add numbers. The problem is, guys, is that we are not quick at doing that process. No matter how fast we think we are, we cannot be as fast as a computer, okay? You were all incredibly slow at that job, and so was I. That's nothing to take offense by, okay? We're intelligent, lovely, fantastic human beings who are able to create lots of lovely things and happiness and joy. But adding numbers is not our forte. Computations and calculations is not something that human beings are particularly good at, okay? Let's run this algorithm, and I'm going to hopefully show you the way that a computer can do this job instead. Now, if we have a look at the code below, we're not going to go into Python programming today, but I just want to discuss with you what this does. Where we see while true, I'm going to generate an infinite loop that is going to repeat the same 3 instructions again and again and again and again, okay? I'm going to generate a random number for number 1 between 1 and 100, and we're going to generate a random number for number 2 between 1 and 100. What I'm then going to do is print out num1 add num2 equals the result of num1 adding num2, okay? So I'm just going to show you guys, I'm just going to close that window for a sec, and I'm going to share a different screen for you. Let's just run this. So this program that I've created, I'm just going to run it now, and I'm just going to share that screen so that you guys can see that for yourselves. Now, hopefully, if this has worked, you should now be looking at my computer adding these numbers together, okay? And it's essentially generating 2 random numbers, adding them together, and printing them out on my screen. Now, for a computer, this is incredibly slow. This computer is slowed down by the fact that it has to print these things to a screen, which is one of the fundamental kind of challenges with computer game development, is that because we output so many graphics, we have to learn how to write scripts and codes and algorithms that are fast enough to enable us to output all of these different graphics on a screen. Now, at the moment, all of this computer is really doing is adding different numbers together, okay? But what we can do to take this to the next step to show you how intelligent a computer can be, I can instead show you, if I go back to my piece of code, let's not make an adding machine. Let's make a program that times us instead. So here I'm just going to say this number times this number is equal to this number times this number. Now, multiplication becomes incredibly difficult for a human being to keep up with. Let's see how that changes things. Okay, so I'm just going to save and run that module this time. And on my screen share, I'm going to stop that share and bring you back to the new program that's running. Okay, so in this example, guys, we're seeing 2 numbers that are randomly generated being multiplied together. And again, it's creating some lovely big numbers for us, a hell of a lot faster than what any human being would be able to do. I'm still not impressed. I would still suggest that my computer is running these incredibly slowly because it's having to output each of these digits onto a screen. If we asked it to do these calculations behind the scenes without us watching, it would be running through thousands and thousands and thousands of them, okay? What I'm going to do is just make one last change. And that change that I'm going to make to this program is not going to be an addition, and it is not going to be a multiplication. It's going to be to the power of. Let's try that. It's very easy to do. In Python, you do double asterisk signs, so num1 to the power of num2. So just to explain, for example, 8 to the power of 2 means 8 squared, so that should give us a result of 64, except this time it's going to be coming up with 99 to the power of 99. Let's see how the computer runs this one instead. This is where I actually crash my computer and everything goes wrong, but it should be absolutely fine. Let's save that. Let's run the new program and see if my computer's able to quickly calculate running a script that does one number to the power of another number between 1 and 100. And here we go. Here is 41 to the power of 95 is a very large number. This is running through these calculations faster than any human being ever could. And this is the power of combining your human being with your computer. If your human being is intelligent enough to push the computer to its final capabilities or limits, we are able to build and generate and create scripts and programs that do amazing things. Be that a computer that's just doing indices of some random numbers between 1 to 100, which isn't that impressive, but it shows some computing power, to making the latest computer games of Super Smash Brothers or Halo Infinite that's coming out on the new Xbox that's to be released, or any of these games that we all know and love playing are generated using this exact same practice, and it's this practice that we're going to look at today. So I'm going to stop that share. I could leave that running on in the background. My computer would easily handle that job, but I'm not going to. I'm going to stop it for the time being. What we're then going to go on to look at, guys, is having one further look at this relationship before we then go on to do some activities of our own. And looking at this relationship of human beings being intelligent, but sadly, incredibly slow, and computers being absolutely dumb, with no real level of intelligence on any level, but being incredibly fast. Now, for those of you that study computer science, the way that a computer is designed is called von Neumann Architecture. Now, von Neumann was a man that was on the side of the Allies during World War II, and the man had an ambition to invent something called a nuclear bomb. Now, because so many calculations were required in order to work out the right pressure to detonate nuclear fusion or a nuclear reaction, he decided he wouldn't be able to do those calculations fast enough to actually manufacture and produce this bomb that they wanted to create for the war efforts. So what he did instead was a little bit of a detour, and he designed a modern day computer to be able to run those calculations for him so that he was then able to go and then develop the nuclear bomb. So when we think about the nuclear bomb and the devastation that that thing can cause to our planet, ironically, it's actually the invention of the nuclear bomb that inspired first the invention of today's modern computers. And the computers that you guys are watching this video on today are here because John von Neumann needed to develop something that could calculate all of the different pressures and physics behind creating a nuclear reaction or nuclear fusion in order to create the nuclear bomb, which is a sad but true piece of history. So guys, let's have a look at an activity, okay? Now, I'm going to go through these nice and slowly. We've got a few activities to do under our belt. What I'd like us to do is begin by understanding algorithms by following instructions, okay? Now, what we're going to do, guys, and what you're going to need is some form of pen or a pencil. If you don't have those things, you can get some, you can open up Paint if you're using a computer, or perhaps if you have any Play-Doh sitting about, which perhaps a younger brother or sister uses, or some blue tack. What I need you to do, guys, I'm going to give you a few minutes. I need you just to run off, grab yourself a piece of paper and a pen or a pencil, because on the next activity, we are going to basically draw or create using paint or Play-Doh or blue tack. I'm going to give you a few minutes now, guys. Could you please shoot off and try to find yourself one of those things? But a paper and pencil is absolutely fine. Okay, guys, hopefully you've had enough time there to go and grab yourself a pen and pencil. I'm just going to begin first by giving you some instructions. I'd like you to draw or create out of Play-Doh or blue tack exactly what I've instructing through this set of instructions. Okay, what we're learning here is that you're going to play the role of computer. You, as a computer, don't have any inside information or understanding of what it is that I'd like you to draw. I am going to be a programmer. I'm going to try to give you a set of easy to follow, simple and precise instructions that I hope are going to enable you to draw what I'm hoping that we can all draw, okay? Now, the important thing here is that you don't have any prior knowledge of what it is that I'd like you to draw. Because you are playing the role of computer, you don't have any knowledge or understanding of what's going on. You can only follow the instructions that the programmer provides. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to start giving those instructions, and at the end I'll then go back through and we'll have a look and see if those instructions have been able to generate what I'm hoping that we produce. So grab your pen, grab your piece of paper or Play-Doh or blue tack. What I'd like you to do, guys, to begin with is to create a large oval which is wider than it is tall. Draw a large oval that is wider than it is tall. Okay. So draw a circle essentially that's been squashed. Once you've done that, guys, I'd like you to draw another one inside, another squashed circle or an oval, which is wider than it is tall. And I'd like that just to be just inside of the oval that you've just drawn. Almost framing itself from the first oval. Okay. Next task, guys, I'd like you to draw a final oval within that one. So now you should have 1, 2, 3 ovals in total. I'd like you to draw a final oval within that middle one. So now you've got 3. Again, maintaining the same kind of shape. I'm hoping you should now have 3 ovals. The largest one that we drew first, one inside of that one and one inside of that one. Okay. Now, what I need you to do is on that inside oval, on the one on the final center inside point, I'd like you on either side inside that final inside oval to draw another couple of ovals, but this time I'd like them to be very tall and quite thin. Okay, so another 2 ovals inside that final oval, one on either side, mostly tall and very thin. Give that a go. Some of you may guess what we're drawing at this point. I'm hoping that a lot of you don't. Okay, next instruction, guys. Inside the 2 ovals that you've just drawn, okay, at the tops of both of those ovals, I'd like you to draw a circle. Inside, at the tops of both of those ovals that you've just drawn, I'd like you to draw a circle. Inside. Okay, only 2 more instructions, guys. We've got our largest oval, we've got the inside oval, we've got the oval under that. We've then got our 2 taller ovals on either side, and we've got a circle inside both of those. Then what I'd like you to do, guys, is draw a rectangle, a thin rectangle, which is taller than it is wide. And I'd like you to draw that rectangle coming out of the bottom of the largest oval, going downwards, about half the length of your height of your oval. And then finally, coming out of the sides of that rectangle you've just drawn, I would like you to draw 2 leaves, one coming out of each side, a leaf coming out of each side of that rectangle you've just drawn. Now what I've given you, hopefully, although verbally and more difficult to follow, is a very precise set of instructions in a particular order, which hopefully has got you to draw something that lots and lots of us should be able to recognize. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to draw it alongside with you. Okay, and hopefully by going through the instructions again, this should help you to get an idea of what I was expecting my computers, you guys at home, to have drawn. Okay, so we start by drawing a large oval about this shape, wider than it is tall. And then inside of that oval, I wanted to see another oval, but this time smaller, kind of framing itself with the outside oval. And then inside that oval, I wanted to see another oval, like that. And then I said inside that oval on both sides, I wanted to see 2 ovals, one on each side, but this time taller rather than long. And then I said inside those ovals, I wanted to see circles. Okay. Below the main oval, I wanted to see a rectangle about half, perhaps just a little bit over half the length of the height of the first oval. And then finally, and this was one of the less kind of abstract instructions I gave you. I just said, draw a couple of leaves coming out the sides of the oval. Okay, and for those of you that like a bit of Nintendo, living on planet Earth, that should have helped you to have drawn a fire flower for your fire flower power from Super Mario and the Super Mario set of computer games. Okay, just going to swap back over to my presentation. Actually, let's just stop that for a second and summarize. So is that what we drew? Mine's actually not as good as the original, but again, I was just following a set of instructions. I'm not sure how closely yours matches the picture that you can now see on your screens. Mine is close enough. Did it work well? Were the instructions clear enough? Did that help? What I'd like you now to think about is that just with a set of instructions that I'd read to you, that you can hear through audio and you can listen to, was that able to help you draw that exact flower the way that we see it? Okay. Now, obviously, if I expected people to have colouring pens today, I could have asked people to have coloured in different aspects of that to make it look even better. And guys, this is a fantastic opportunity to do this kind of game at home with a family member or a friend, okay? Where one person plays the role of programmer, like I have, and the other person, completely unaware of what it is that they are to draw, plays the role of computer, okay? Now, I hope that you guys were able to draw something like that. If you were able to draw something like that, that means two things. That means that my instructions were really clear and easy to follow and precise, and that when I gave the instructions, there wasn't any ambiguity, or you didn't have to guess very much. You were able to follow those instructions nice and clearly. Also, that means that as a computer, you are fantastic at simply following an instruction, and that you are able to follow instructions precisely without making any errors. And it teaches us actually that when errors are made in computers, it's not actually the computer's fault. It's actually the programmer that tends to have done something wrong. So if that did go horribly wrong for you guys, I hope it was ended up with some kind of funny image there. But not to worry, because it's most likely my instructions that didn't work for you as the reasons that it didn't work out overall. Okay. So at this point, guys, I'm just going to pause briefly and ask that if you like, you can go onto menti.com, MENTI, and enter the code 305864, and you should be able to see that at the bottom left of my screen. If you've got any questions or any feedback at this point, that'd be fantastic if you could make that for us. If your flower came out really well, I'd like you to share that with us. If it came out looking awful, I'd like you to also share that with us as well. Now, at the beginning of the session, there was a Dropbox link posted. If it would be absolutely fantastic, guys, if you could take a photograph perhaps of this drawing that you've done, or this plasticine model that you've made, and if you could upload that into that Dropbox at the end of this session for us, that would be absolutely fantastic for me to see either how fantastic you are at following my instructions, or how awful you are at following my instructions. Either way, I'm sure I'll get enjoyment from seeing what you've created there. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to go on to the next activity. Again, this is going to have a similar theme. It's going to go on to do something that has something to do with computer games, but this time on this activity, I'm not going to read these out. I'd like you to understand algorithms by following a written algorithm, okay? So with your paper and your pencil, I'd like you to do the below. Now, I'm not going to read these, except at the end, I will look back at these and try to follow these instructions myself. I'm going to give you 5 minutes to try to follow these instructions and to produce the image that I'm hoping we all produce at the end, okay? Now, I'm going to go quiet and I'll just give you 5 minutes to do so. If you get to the point of which you finish step 6, add more detail, perhaps have a little research of what they look like. See if you can find out when they were released, and add a bit more detail so that they look even better than the instructions that I'm giving you, okay? I'm just going to give you a few more. I'm going to give you 4 minutes now because I've spoken. 4 minutes just to follow those instructions, and then I'm going to go through the example myself as well. Hello there, guys. I hope you were able to follow that along. Hopefully, you've had the time in order to follow those instructions. What I'm going to do is go through and follow the same instructions myself. Hopefully, I'm able to follow these instructions that I've designed. And then we might be able to get a picture of, what we've produced, and hopefully we've all kind of got the same thing, okay? So having a quick look back at the instructions, step 1 was to draw a large rectangle going up your page, and the bottom right should curve, okay? So the bottom right is going up the page, which means this rectangle is going to be taller than it is wide. So let's just start. Obviously, guys, I've got the inside knowledge. I know what we're drawing, which isn't really fair. But what I would have liked you to have done as your programmer would be to draw a rectangle going upwards, except this bottom right corner will have curved. Now, for those of you that are really into gaming, you might have been able to have guessed what we're drawing at this point already. But let's continue through the instructions and see how it goes. So at the top half of that rectangle, so in this area here, we're going to draw a square that almost fills the sides, okay? And again, the bottom right of that should curve. So let's just start on this top right-hand side. I'm going to draw another rectangle, just fill that space. It's saying the bottom right of that needs to curve like that. And then just going to take that across. There we go. Happy days. Now, lots of you are going to have guessed what this is by this point, but let's continue. Inside that square, I'm going to draw a slightly smaller square. So again, I can just come to there. I'm just going to draw a square. This time it's not telling me to draw a curve on the bottom right of the screen. Oops, screen, I've given that away, haven't I? On the bottom half of the original rectangle, I'm going to draw 2 circles next to each other on the right. Okay, so I'm just going to follow the instructions, guys. I know what this should look like. Perhaps one of the buttons should be ever so slightly elevated compared to the other, but I'm just going to keep them straight because I'm doing what it's told me to do. And on the bottom half of the original rectangle, draw a cross on the left. Now, I could draw a cross kind of like that, which it's asked me to do, but to keep in with the same kind of design that I've done everything else, I'm just going to make this more blocky. Now, at this point, everybody should know what we're drawing, unless you've not lived on planet Earth for the past so many years. And at the very bottom of the original rectangle, draw small lines side by side next to each other. So I'm just going to draw 2 lines sideways. Draw 2 lines sideways next to each other. Thank goodness, I was about to do them the wrong way. So I'm just going to draw 2 lines sideways next to each other. Okay. Now, for those of you that have done that, absolutely fantastic and good job. We've drawn a original Game Boy, which was released as a kind of handheld console by Nintendo. There are some slight variances on how this should look in reality. This button here should be a little bit further up. The select and start button at the bottom actually are ovals. They're curved and they're actually at an angle as well. But let's have a look on the next slide. It looks something a bit more similar to that. But yeah, we should have drawn a Game Boy, and I'm hoping you guys were able to do so. Now, the original Game Boy, guys, was made in 1989 and released in Japan in 1989 and into the Americas and Europes as well. Yeah, it's a console that was released technically before I was born, believe it or not, no matter how old you think I am. This was released into the world the year before I was born, and therefore a good many years before you guys were born as well. Now, did that work that time? Was it easier to follow because the instructions were written down? Or was it more difficult to follow because I wasn't explaining? Were the instructions clear enough? Were you able to follow them and produce something that looks good? With regards to my instructions, have a little think about which things would you change? What needs to improve? What did I just take for granted? Perhaps it was the size of this rectangle or the shape. Lots of you may well, if I go back to share the previous screen, guys, I'm just going to exit this screen share. Okay. Now, perhaps maybe some of you drew a rectangle like this. Yeah. That would have made the whole thing a little bit more difficult, wouldn't it? If we started at that point where we drew a rectangle that was that shape, that wouldn't have looked anything like what we would have hoped it to have looked like here. So with regards to my instructions, guys, they weren't completely clear. There were things that I missed out. And as my computers, there are things that you guys will have got wrong. Again, like I asked for the previous activity, guys, if you could photograph your piece of work and upload that onto the Dropbox that's been shared, that would be absolutely fantastic for me to see, you know, has everyone drawn something that looks like a realistic Game Boy from 1989? Or, do you know, have we gone wildly off course and we've produced these types of things, okay? Right, so hopefully, guys, at this point in time, we're getting a picture or an idea of some of the strengths and weaknesses that are involved in giving instructions and programs to other people, okay? Now, just a quick update before we continue, guys. Have a look, and again, if you guys can ask some questions on Menti, that would be absolutely fantastic. Could you please have a look at going to menti.com, menti.com, and entering the code 305864, because that way you'll be able to enter your name and the school that you attend, and you'll be able to ask any questions or make any suggestions for things that weren't clear. Please do so, guys. Do get involved. Remember that those people that are logging into Menti and entering their name and their school have then got a chance of winning some prizes at the end of the course. So make sure you're giving shout outs and making sure that your voice is heard and your name is seen. Okay. Please post any questions through, anything that you found easy or difficult. Did that work for you? And were the instructions clear enough? Please give your feedback on that, because that's something for us to reflect upon when it comes to writing algorithms and producing our own programs when it comes to becoming computer game developers and designers. Okay. Right, guys. So for the final activity today, what I would like you to do is take a little bit of time and draw something of your choice. Now, because obviously I'm from Digital Schoolhouse, I'd love that if that was a Nintendo character or a PlayStation character. If that was a character from perhaps Sega. If that was a simple scene from one of these games. If that was the box art on the front of one of your PlayStation games. Any of these things, guys, I'd like you to find something simple within the world of computer gaming that you can draw. Now, you don't have to be an artist to be able to do this. You don't have to be the world's best drawer. You can go and find something now that you'd like to draw. But I'd like you to pick something simple from a computer game. And I'd like you to try your best to draw that now. Okay? Now, what you're going to do after you've drawn that is hopefully keep it down to less than 10 instructions, so that you can instruct somebody else on what to draw and how to draw it, given that they have absolutely no idea of what they're drawing, okay? Because this is going to be called writing an algorithm. We're going to write algorithms as the last activity of today. So, the first step, or step number one, is to draw something from a computer game, something that's really lovely and simple, something that's non-complex, so that you can then convert that into 10 or less easy instructions to follow, so that somebody else is then able to draw this computer character from one of your favorite computer games, okay? Have a little think. If that's Mario or one of the Nintendo characters, perhaps that could be an 8-bit character. It doesn't have to be a full fidelity image. Maybe if that's PlayStation's more your thing, maybe it's instructing them how to draw the PlayStation logo. Perhaps you'd like to instruct someone how to draw a PlayStation control. Maybe the Nintendo Switch is what you'd like them to draw. It can be a piece of hardware. Okay. Have a little think, guys. Think about what you would like to draw in 10 easy to follow, simple instructions. And then I'd like you to begin to write those up next to your image so that you can then upload that as your final activity and piece of work from today. Now, what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to go silent again for about 5 minutes to give you time to do this. And I'm also going to kind of start producing my own image within this next 5 minutes so that I can break it down and then talk to you guys about what I've done to produce that. What I'll do is share my drawing so you guys can see what I'm doing as I'm doing it. And yeah, I'm going to go silent for about 5 minutes, guys, just so that you guys can get a bit of your own time to draw an image of your choice. Okay. Yeah, and I'm going to do that now. All right, guys, I'm kind of going to give you a few more minutes, probably just over a minute actually, to try and finish off your drawing. Hopefully, you've picked something lovely and simple to draw. Okay, so you can call me a cheater, guys, but I've chosen to draw Kirby for my activity. The reason I've chose Kirby actually is because he's so simple. It's essentially a circular blob with 2 feet, 2 arms, and a little face on the front. Um, you can't really get any more simple than that unless you chose to draw Pac-Man. Now, I think that because of the image that I've chosen, I should probably be able to explain this in 10 simple steps. Um, if I was to improve this, I'd probably want to perhaps erase the lines between his arms and his face. For those of you that know Kirby, they're completely connected. There's no real gap between the two of them. And I've spent a bit of time just shading in some of the detail as well, just to kind of, make those things pop a little bit so that we get a really lovely picture of Kirby, the computer game character. Now, let's have a think about what instructions would I give to someone if I was going to tell you guys at home to draw Kirby. Well, if I was to write a set of instructions, they'd need to be in order. So I'm going to start by just writing down, instruction number 1. I'd start by drawing a circle. Start by drawing a circle. Easy peasy. Okay, so on the bottom of that circle, I then drew kind of 2 feet. And, there's nothing wrong with saying that, guys. Just draw 2 shoes or feet at the bottom. I'm going to make another bracket here and just instruct the person that there are no legs. Kirby does not have legs. He simply has feet connected to his main body. Arguably, guys, does he even have a body? Does Kirby have a body? Question to walk away from today's session with. Does Kirby have a body? Something to think about. Something important to think about going forwards, guys. Because if he does, then the next question to ask would be, does Kirby have a head? But anyway, let's go on to step number 3. I've drawn his feet. I've drawn the main circle. Let's draw a kind of arm or a hand or a blob. I'm just going to call it a blob on the bottom right. And a blob on the top left. This should be his hands. Next step, guys, let's draw step number 4. Draw a small circle in the middle. And then step 5 would be to draw 2 tall or taller ovals above the middle circle. Next to each other. And then finally, guys, we're going to draw his rosy cheeks. Draw 2 squashed because typically you'd say that an oval's been squashed if it's been pushed down. Draw 2 squashed ovals either side with a D, not a G, either side of the middle circle. Now, without talking about drawing the circles in the top of the 2 ovals here or making any of the shading, you know, that's an algorithm for drawing Kirby. And hopefully, if I was then to give this set of instructions, either read them to, like in the first activity, or give them written to, like in the second activity, hopefully somebody should be able to draw a Kirby for me. Okay, it would obviously help if they had prior knowledge of that's what they were drawing. But remember, with a computer, we are not having an intelligent communication with an intelligent being. This is a dumb but very fast machine that is capable of following our instructions as long as they are clear, concise, and to the point. Okay. Now, the last thing I'd like you to do today, guys, and just have a little think about so that you can complete it, if possible, if it's something that you can do at home, is I'd like you to just reflect quickly with me over the objectives of today's session. And then I'd like to talk about the Dropbox link that I'm sharing on your screens now, okay? So hopefully after that today, guys, we were able to understand why computers need algorithms, okay? The relationship between intelligent human beings and the less intelligent or actually completely dumb computers, but why the partnership between a human being and a computer can be so powerful is because computers are incredibly fast, and they are so much faster than anything that we do ourselves. We take the speed of our computer and the intelligence of our human being, and we're able to generate anything on a computer if we give enough time to practice our programming techniques. The only real limit, and you guys will have seen this in your favorite computer games, the only real limit to computing is the human imagination. And that's really the only limit to what we can really create inside of a computer game or a computer through programming. Our other objective today was to know why algorithms need to be specific, precise, and step-by-step. Well, hopefully, guys, by following my instructions, you've seen firsthand that where I've not been specific or precise, mistakes have been made in your drawings, or if my step-by-step instructions have been difficult or convoluted at any point to follow, you'll see that they've been incredibly difficult to draw what I've asked you to draw, and therefore things have gone wrong. That's why with unintelligent computers, we need to make sure that when we give instructions through algorithms, they are precise, they are specific, and they are completely without interpretation. They must be very precise, because our computers do not have intelligence. They would just very, very quickly execute what we ask them to do. And that's why we get bugs in computers, because sometimes a programmer will make a mistake, and the computer will follow the instruction perfectly and crash your machine because that's what it's been asked to do. Okay. And then finally, guys, just to round up and show a place where you can then submit your work. Remember, all of the ways in which you participate and get involved with all of these sessions, the more work that you can upload, or when logging into Menti so that we can see you were here. If you guys can please log into Menti, put in your name and your school name, and I'm just going to share one last time back on the screen the Dropbox link for where you can take photographs of your work from today, guys, and pop it into that link there. If you guys can, if you can click on that link on your screens. If not, that can be shared after the session with you guys as well. I'm sure it'll be put either in the comments section or in the description section of this video on YouTube. Please let me see the pictures that you've created today. It'd be absolutely fantastic for me to be able to see. And I want to have a good laugh at those times in which it goes wrong. In the meantime, between now and Wednesday, it's a really lovely idea to take this image that you've drawn and to go away and do this activity with perhaps a family member, okay? Could I then go up to one of my family members and read this set of instructions and expect them to produce this lovely picture here of a Kirby. Okay, is that something that they should be able to do? Is my algorithm clear? Is it concise? Does it make sense? It's a really fun activity to do with someone, guys, just because you'll see how wrong they get it from your instructions, but a fantastic opportunity at learning how we can be good programmers by being specific and not leaving, assuming that the person doing it doesn't have that level of intelligence where they can just crack on through what you're doing, okay? I'm going to end today by saying thank you for joining the first session on our gaming design and development stages and looking at algorithms with me today. I'm going to leave by keeping that objective screen up so that you've got that link there if you need it. I'll look forward to seeing everyone on Wednesday for the next session, guys. And again, just bring a pen and paper if possible. And scissors for the next session. If you can get hold of some scissors, that would be fantastic, because that would be really useful for us on the next session. Okay, I'm going to leave up that screen, but thank you for bearing with me through this first session, guys. I hope it was good. Do give your feedback back through menti.com, and do please upload your work onto the Dropbox so that I can have a look at that later on. And thank you very, very much for your time on this very hot Monday morning. Cheers. Bye-bye.